Okay, guys, let's get started. So, what we are going to discuss in the entire concepts of Docker and Kubernetes, and why it is very important to learn the Docker and Kubernetes. So, whoever are attending to the session, in this session, there might be developers, there might be testing people, or else there might be freshers who are just completed their education and they are trying for their job opportunities. So, just give me a second. Okay. So now, if you are thinking in this fashion, so I'm a developer, so how Docker and Kubernetes will be helpful for me? Let us take in the developer who is working on a Java project. Okay. So I'm not a developer, guys. To make you very clear, I'm not at all related to development field. I'm totally into system administration. Okay. So I work on servers. Previously, I used to work on servers, and later I was uh, I got a promotion with the DevOps. So right now, currently, I'm working as DevSecOps administrator. So that's my profile. So I'm totally into the administration. I even don't know what is coding. Okay, in the beginning of my career, I even don't know what is coding. Even now, I cannot do the coding. Okay, I just want to make sure that you understand my situation. But the point is, whoever are the developers are there. So the Java developers will develop their code. Now, once they have developed their code, where they have to deploy it. So once the Java code generation is done, so you are going to use some Maven tool or Gradle, or else if you are using Node.js, then you are going with NPM. So like that, there will be several tools that are available in the market to generate an artifact. Artifact is nothing but your .jar file, or else if you are using the web application .war file, like that. Okay, so these are the artifacts that we are going to generate, and we will be deploying this Java related application in the server. Okay, so when we are deploying this Java related application in the server, so in server, what we are going to do, we will give the command java-jar and whatever the jar file name that has been generated, file.jar. And if you are using the Spring Boot application, then you are going to provide some YML files also. So in general, you are going to run the Java application in this fashion on your computer or else in your server. Now, the point here is, for example, in the laptop or in server, you installed a Java version, Java 17. Okay, a version called as Java 17 is installed. And then you are trying to run an application. So when you try to run this application, the file.jar file, so if you write this jar file and whenever you are working with the Maven, you will be generating a pom.xml. In the pom.xml, you are going to mention the version number as 17 or 8 or else 11. Like that, you are going to mention the number so that whatever the artifact that is generated, so that will be running only with the particular Java version. So in my laptop, I have installed Java 17. So if the jar file that is generated on Java 17, so that will be running. I don't have any problem with that. If the jar file is generated with the Java 17 version, then that will be installed and that will be running on the laptop. But if the jar file is installed, or else if the jar file is created and the artifact is created on Java version 22, if the artifact is created on Java version 22, but in my laptop I have installed Java 17, so there will be a compatibility issue will be appeared, and this particular file will not be run on my system. So this is the one thing. So which means that if you are having multiple applications of multiple versions, so you cannot run those multiple versions on your single machine. So for that, what you have to do, you have to equip with multiple machines. So if you go with multiple machines, then there will be a cost burden will be there. So which I don't want. This is the first thing. In the developer perspective, how you are going to run your application. So if you want to run this application, either you can use directly on the computer or server, or else you can go with a concept called as containers. Okay, so a containers can be created in your system. So inside that containers, what you can do, you can go for a container with Java 17 and another container with Java 22 also. Okay, so like that, what you can do, so you can run multiple applications with multiple versions on the containers, and these containers will be running on a single host. All the containers will be running on a single host. Now what is host here? Host is nothing but your server or your desktop or laptop. Okay, in this fashion, what you can do, so in this fashion, what a developer can create his own application by using the Docker. This is the first important implementation of the containers or else Docker. Now, if you go with the testing people, for testing people, how it is going to be helpful. So in testing environment also, you need to run the application for doing the automation. Okay, so for that automation kind of thing, so definitely we will be going with the containers. And for freshers, it is in general case, most number of the companies are requesting the candidates to have knowledge on Docker and Kubernetes and as well as the cloud environment. So it is a recommended tool for any IT industry nowadays. So everyone should understand the concept of Docker and Kubernetes to enhance their career job opportunities. For that reason, definitely you need to understand the concept of Docker and Kubernetes. So what is this Docker and Kubernetes? Docker is a containerization platform. Excuse me. Docker is a container platform or containerization platform. Okay. And what is Kubernetes? Kubernetes is a orchestration platform. Now, what is the difference between containerization and orchestration? So containerization in the sense running the applications in a single, what I can say, in a virtual environment. So now what is a container here? Container is a software virtualization resource which can run the application. So if I say this will be a little bit tough for you to understand. We will discuss about what is meant by a container very in detail about this when we go into the main concept. But as of now, Docker is a container platform where you can run your application on a lightweighted resources. That is what you need to understand. So now what is meant by Kubernetes? Kubernetes is an orchestration platform to manage the containers which run the application. See, simply if I have to say, if you are a developer, okay, if you are a developer, you are going to develop the code. In your development team, there will be some 10 to 15 users will be there. I mean, 10 to 15 employees will be there who are going to develop, who are going to work on different projects, and they are going to develop different types of applications. Now, so you need to understand. So there are 10 developers and there are 5 applications, and these 5 applications are segregated between two employees each. So that what is going to happen? 2 employees will work on one application, and another 2 employees will work on another application. Like that, multiple employees will be working on multiple applications. Now, on the top of these employees, you will have a team lead or team manager. So now, what is the main functionality of that team manager? The team manager will be monitoring and managing the entire team. So he will provide the work to the team members, and as well as he will manage the team. So if there is any team member absent, then he is going to assign that work to another team member. If there is a problem incurred inside the team, either it might be a financial problem, it might be a personal problem, he himself will take some care and he will try to resolve that issue. So what manager is going to do? Manager will monitor and maintain the team. In the same manner, what Kubernetes is going to do here is Kubernetes will monitor and maintain the containerized application. If one container is down, in that place, it is going to automatically recreate another container. So in this fashion, Kubernetes will be very helpful for the current situation. And Docker is to run the lightweighted resources called as containers where we can run our applications. So this is the 2 platforms that we are going to learn in this entire course. And the course duration will be 20 days, 20 to 25 working days. Okay. So if regularly everyone is present, then it will be definitely completed within 25 working days. And Saturday and Sunday, you will have the sessions. Not every Saturday and Sundays, but maybe alternatively one Saturday and Sunday I can keep the session, and another Saturday and Sunday you won't have the session, like that. 2 Saturday and Sundays you will have the sessions. Okay. And duration I have said you, and the time frame is 6:30 a.m. Okay, 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. This is the session time. Okay, every day you will have the session at 6:30 a.m. until 8 a.m. And now about the fee will be 5,000. Okay, 5,000 for the entire sessions. So what you are paying here is the investment for your career. Think like it is an investment for your career, not like an paid one. Okay, not like what I can say burden on your career. Okay, it's just like an investment where you can enhance your opportunities. There are a few people who learn the Docker and Kubernetes. Now they are working with 10 lakhs packages in a company, in multiple companies. I know. So I'm just saying you that this 5,000 is worthy for you to get a job which worth about 10 lakhs per annum. So keep that in your mind and focus on this particular concepts. And while coming back to myself, I'm Chaitanya. I will be training you the entire Docker and Kubernetes concept, and I am giving the trainings from past 2014 onwards, from 2014 to 2025, somewhere around 11 years. Okay. So I am a Microsoft certified trainer. I'm a Red Hat certified trainer, and as well as I have my certifications with the AWS and Kubernetes. So I'm a certified Kubernetes administrator. You can check out my LinkedIn also. In LinkedIn profile, you can see I am having all the certifications. So that's about my certifications and my career graph. Right now, I'm working as a DevSecOps administrator in a top class MNC company. That's about my details. Now, when we coming back to the main point here. So what is the syllabus? What is the syllabus that you have to understand? What we are going to discuss in the Docker and Kubernetes. Before I go into the syllabus, I just want to know about what is your background and why you want to learn Docker and Kubernetes, so that I can go in deep about the syllabus concepts. Yes, can you please unmute yourself and let us have a small discussion over here?
Hello. Hi, sir. My name is Bhavani. I have around 15-year experience as well, and I am solution part. And nowadays, like I'm getting so many projects in Kubernetes, Docker, EKS, AKS, and all. So I thought I should have a better and deep understanding, so I can make a better solution design and all. So that's my expectation. I have one question. What is the duration of this course?
It will be 20-25 days. 20 to 25 days. I already said that. Within 25 days, whether we can complete, of course we can complete it. Don't worry. Okay.
And do we need any cloud environment or
I will tell you the prerequisites. I will tell you once the syllabus is done. I will tell you the prerequisites.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So you are working as a DevOps itself, right?
I'm working as a solution architect.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, next. Vivek. Since Vivek is there, Vivek, you can start.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Right now, I am working as a MySQL DBA. Hello.
Database administrator.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
MySQL. And currently, I have experience of more 3.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay, that's a fine experience. So why you want to learn Docker and Kubernetes?
And actually, our MySQL is going to deployed on the my Docker and Kubernetes with the help of supports.
So you are deploying the Kubernetes directly on the you are deploying the MySQL on the Kubernetes.
No, with the help of using Docker images and.
That's I totally understand. So okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. We'll discuss about that later.
And just for right now, means the new organization means that is expecting that
Yeah, every
That
organization.
we have to knowledge about the Docker and basic knowledge about Docker and Kubernetes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, fine then. Thanks for sharing your views. Let us discuss about the syllabus here. What we are going to discuss. So I won't take much time. So I won't go with the technicalities also. For the first day of session, I am not going with the technicalities. Let us see what we can do with the syllabus. So if you come to the Docker, in Docker, what you are going to learn here is you will be learning about Docker basics. In Docker basics, you will be learning about Docker architecture, Docker C groups and namespaces, Linux C groups and namespaces, Docker architecture, and then Docker lifecycle, container lifecycle, and what is container, what is Docker. These are all comes under the basics. And the next one is Docker images, how containers will be created, and what is meant by Docker image. In Docker images, you will be learning about the Docker file, and then you will be learning about Docker networking. Finally, Docker volumes, Docker storage. This is called as Docker storage. In Docker storage, you will have a concept called as volumes. Volumes, and you will have bind mounts. What is meant by volumes and what is meant by bind mounts. And then Docker compose. And finally, Docker swarm. With this, we will wind up the total Docker. For seeing, it is very small, but when you go in detail about the Docker, you will learn a lot of things. Okay, so it will take minimum 7 days to complete the Docker. Minimum, I am talking. Minimum, it is going to take some 7 days. We'll discuss what we are going to do in that 7 days. Okay, so the next one will be once the Docker is completed, we will be diving back into the Kubernetes. We'll be diving back onto the Kubernetes. In Kubernetes, what you are going to learn here is Kubernetes architecture and Kubernetes basics. And then you will be learning about installing Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so whatever we are going to do here, so this installing cluster, the Kubernetes cluster will be a production grade cluster, not a normal in general cluster which we are going to work with the databases. I mean, in the development environment. For example, if you are working in a development environment, you will be working with the what I can say, you will be working with the Minikube concept. But we are not going to work with the Minikube concept. Here we are going to work on the production grade environment. So keep that in mind. So we will be creating the cluster with the help of a few tools called as kubeadm and then KOps. These are the two tools which we are going to use to create the cluster. And there is another tool called as Rancher, which is also used to create the Kubernetes cluster. These are all the tools that are used in your day-to-day Kubernetes environment. So it's very important for you to understand this. And most probably, what I can say here is, when you go in detail about when you are into the company, in the companies also they will ask you to understand about the cluster creation. Why? Because already clusters will be created, so you don't need to do anything, but at least you need to have a basic idea how this cluster got created. Okay, and most probably kubeadm is the tool which will be used for the on-premises clusters, on-prem clusters, and kops is especially used for the AWS environment. Rancher is used for AWS or else any cloud environment, or else you can use it for the on-prem environment also. In both the environments, you can use the Rancher. But when you come to the kubeadm, you can use in the AWS environment and as well as on-prem environment also. But kops is a tool which will be used only in the AWS environment. No another environment will accept the KOps. Next, after creating the cluster, we will be discussing about the workload components, where we will be talking about pods, replica sets, deployments, stateful sets, and daemon sets. Okay, these are all the concepts that we are going to discuss in the workload components. And then we will be discussing about the services. Okay, Kubernetes services. In the Kubernetes services, we are going to discuss about cluster IP, cluster IP service, and then node port, which are very recommended for you. Load balancer service. This will be for only for the cloud environment. And then we will be discussing about external namespace, external name service, and then the headless service. Okay, these are the services that we are going to discuss in the services concept. And later we will be discussing about cluster is done, workload component services. Later we will be discussing about the ingress controller, which is very important in the day-to-day environment of your Kubernetes cluster. And then we will be discussing about KTS probes, Kubernetes probes, and as well as sidecar containers. Next one will be Kubernetes namespaces and resource quotas. We are going to discuss about these two things, namespaces and resource quotas. And then Kubernetes advanced scheduling, where you will be learning about the node selector, node affinity, and node anti-affinity. Node anti-affinity is not there. Taints and tolerations, and then pod affinity and pod anti-affinity. So these are the total topics which we are going to discuss in the Kubernetes advanced scheduling. And then we will discuss about Kubernetes RBAC, role-based access control, providing the access for the users, and Kubernetes storage. In Kubernetes storage, we will be discussing about the empty directory, persistent volume claims, and EFS. These are all going to discuss storage classes, dynamic storage configuration. These are all going to understand the Kubernetes storage. And later we will be discussing about Kubernetes network policies, and then Kubernetes Helm charts. Okay, Helm charts, and then ELK stack for logging, and monitoring purpose we will be using Prometheus and Grafana dashboards. Monitoring Kubernetes cluster with the help of Prometheus and Grafana dashboard. And then we will be discussing about, if possible, I will try to incorporate this STO service mesh, which is very important. And finally, we will be discussing about Argo CD. With this, we are going to wind up the entire Kubernetes. Now, whatever we are discussing here, these are all the we are going to manage, customer going to manage all these things. But there is cloud managed Kubernetes clusters are available. Those are called as AWS EKS and Azure AKS, or else you can simply call it as AKS. So among this, we will be discussing about the EKS configuration, how to install the Elastic Kubernetes services in the AWS environment. We are going to discuss about this. With this, we are going to wind up the entire Kubernetes in our what I can say, entire Kubernetes. Okay, so that is about the concept of your Kubernetes and whatever the syllabus that we will be discussing in the Kubernetes and Docker implementation. So the next one is, I hope you understand this concept. Any questions here? I mean, not the concept, the syllabus. Anything that you want to include into this, or else what's your view on this? Guys, are you there?
Yeah,
I know that you will be saying that we are very new to this, but still, I'm not going with any technicalities here. I'm just giving you the introduction to the syllabus. So you might know and you might not know about the syllabus. I'm not going to talk about that, but some people will have an expectation towards the course. I want to learn this particular concept. So I hope everything is included into this. Okay, so the next one is previously somebody asked a question. I forgot that question. So what is that? After syllabus, I will discuss. I said you EKS, related to EKS only, right? previously someone asked me about are we are going to work with the EKS or not, or else AKS. So this question was asked, if I'm not wrong. Okay, anyways, so this is the syllabus which we are going to work for. So the next one is, after the syllabus and everything, now let us discuss about some technical terms. What are the technical terms that we are going to encounter? So before that, let us go with the prerequisites. Prerequisites will be, you need to have an AWS account. AWS account is very mandatory. Why AWS account means? We are going to deploy the Kubernetes cluster in the AWS environment. So you need to have an AWS account. If you have a basic knowledge on AWS account, I mean, AWS is also very, very helpful for me. It is not like that. If you are having knowledge on Azure also, no problem. So somebody will ask, sir, I have knowledge on Azure. I don't have any knowledge on AWS. So if you have knowledge on any one of the cloud, that is okay for me. I am not going to, what I can say, definitely you need to have the knowledge on this particular cloud only. So if you have knowledge on Azure, or else if you have knowledge on AWS account, AWS, that works. So why AWS? Because of the KOps configuration. KOps is the easiest way to create the Kubernetes cluster. So every day we have to create the Kubernetes cluster. So it will be a difficult task for us. So to overcome that, we are going with the KOps. So to run the KOps, definitely we want the AWS environment. So it is a mandatory thing to understand the AWS environment. Okay. So that is the reason I'm asking you to have an AWS account. And next one will be a very good laptop with an good internet connection. With an internet connection. Okay. So this is the second mandatory thing. These are the prerequisites. Apart from that, you don't need to have any further prerequisites. Now, I hope all the questions are cleared. And one more thing, you will get the videos every day. You are going to get the videos and the documents, so you don't need to worry about that. Videos availability is there. Documents are available for you. So if you don't attend the session for 1 day or 2 days, you are going to get the videos. Don't worry about that. Okay. So, and one more thing, here we are completing the session within 20-25 days. I don't think there won't be any less number of count. So it is mandatory that you have to attend to the session every day. So that's about the entire syllabus of Docker and Kubernetes, and how many days it is going to take time, and at what time you are going to start the session, and what you are going to learn the entire concepts. Any further things that you want to ask me, you can ask me now. Yes, guys. Anything?
No, sir.
Okay.
I have one question. So, are we going to use OpenShift as well, or like is it different?
OpenShift is a different cluster, different platform. OpenShift is a RHEL platform. Here we are not going to use OpenShift. Okay.
So if we work on this AWS or Azure, then are we able to work on OpenShift as well?
That is what I am saying. Here we are creating the Kubernetes cluster. Kubernetes is a separate tool and OpenShift is a separate tool. Okay. Let me tell you, if you are using GitHub and Bitbucket, so both are different, right? Even though they are used for the version control, but GitHub is different and Bitbucket is different. In the same manner, Kubernetes is a different tool and OpenShift is a different tool. Both are different. Okay, even though they are used for the orchestration platform itself, but they are different in configuration. So we are not going to discuss about the OpenShift. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes.
Right. Now let us discuss about some basic concepts. So why we need to go for the Docker, why we need to go for the containers. So to understand this, first of all, you need to understand how an IT industry or else how an application is configured and running. Okay, now we have so many different types of technologies called as orchestration and containerization. These types of technologies are available. But previously, we don't have these technologies. Okay, previously we don't have these technologies. What we used to have, a single server, and in the server we need to run the application. So for example, this is the server, and inside the server I want to run the application. If you want to run the application, first of all, what should be happen here? So first you need to configure the server, and inside that you need to install the operating system, and then you have to install the related software. Now you need to run your application. Now this application version is different, and when you install another application, that version will be different. But when you purchase the server compatibility will be very high, and I mean the resources will be very high, like 16 CPU, some 256 GB of RAM. Like that you are going to have your servers. So whenever you are having the servers like this, it is not a recommended method, I mean recommended practice to run a single what I can say a single application inside the server. So we definitely we need to have the multiple applications running on the server. But if you can see here, this server will be compatible with only a single application. Now what about the resources? The entire resources are going to be wasted. So I don't want my resources to get wasted. So for that reason, what has happened here is from the on-premises environment, inside the on-premises environment, later the IT world has introduced a concept called as virtualization. So previously we used to have a server on physical server. Inside the physical server, we will be running all our application. Okay, but after a few years into the IT world, the new concept called as virtual machines are introduced. And this virtual machines concept is the what I can say backbone for your entire cloud environment. Okay, so the entire cloud, whatever you are seeing here in the AWS, whatever the EC2 instances or else whatever the virtual machines that you are seeing in Azure, everything are a part of your virtualization platform. Okay, so that is the point that you need to understand here. So the physical servers are not very prominent. Why? Because there will be a lot of wastage of the resources will be there. So to overcome this problem, we are going with the virtual machines. So this virtualization is of two types. One is the hardware virtualization and software virtualization. We will discuss about this. And again, the hardware virtualization is again divided into two types. One is the bare metal virtualization, and the second one is hosted virtualization. Okay, hosted virtualization. These are the two types of virtualization, or else I will call it as type 1 virtual machine and type 2 virtual machines. Type 1 means bare metal and type 2 means hosted. So when this virtualization was introduced, then there is a tremendous change that was happened in the entire IT industry. But the main problem is to pack this virtual machines and to move from one location to the another location. For example, I have an application deployed in the development environment. I'm having so many virtual servers in the development environment. Now I packed the entire virtual machine and I want to move this virtual machine from one environment to the another environment. So from the development to the UAT and from UAT to the production environment, it is taking a huge amount of space, and as well as it is a time consuming process. Why? Because these virtual machines are heavy weighted in the sense they are going to have, I mean, they are going to consume lot amount of resources, and they will be working on a huge resources. So that's the reason the virtual machines are heavy weighted. So that's the main problem with the hardware virtualization. So to overcome this problem, we are going with the software virtualization. Okay, so the software virtualization, under the software virtualization, you are going to get your Docker, ContainerD, like the different container engines are coming in the software virtualization platform. So into the software virtualization, the most predominant and most important containerization platform is your Docker platform. So on the Docker platform, we are going to run multiple containers. And when we are going with the multiple containers, what are the benefits and how we are going to work on the containers, we will see in the next session. So this is the demo one. So I'm not going to involve all technicalities into this. I just want to tell you about the syllabus and your prerequisites. In the next session, we are going to discuss about the Docker and containers. So what is meant by a container and what is meant by Docker, what is the main basic utilization of Docker, and everything will be discussed in the next session. So that's it from my end. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Apart from this, I'm not going very in detail into about the technicalities. We will discuss about that in detail about in the next session. Don't worry about this. Apart from this, any questions? Is everything is clear what you are going to learn?
Yes.
Fine. Okay, guys, then we'll meet in the next session. Okay. So today I will wind up the session at this time, and tomorrow exactly at 7:30 we are going to start the session, and it will be extended up to 8:30. And Saturday also you will have a session at 7:30, and it will be extended to 8:30. And from Monday onwards you will be having the session set. What I can say, you are going to have the session set 6:30 a.m., 6:30 to 8 a.m. Okay, so that is the class timing. Again, I am saying you for your understanding purpose, for your what I can say, uh, so that you will get a clarity on what times the classes will be happening. So have a nice day, and we'll meet in the next session. Bye bye, guys. Thank you all.